Hello viewers, today I'm going to drive this new electric Renault for you, but this isn't like one of my regular car reviews. I've managed to shake off Lucy and Eve, so I'm doing this all by myself with one little camera on a stick thing. So it might be a bit gappy. Anyway, let's go. I'm cutting it there. Now this car is very clearly inspired by the original Renault 5, a car of which many of us have many fond memories, and that's probably why they've called it the Renault 5. It's a bit retro, obviously, and for exactly that reason, and I do have reservations about retro styling in cars because often it doesn't quite work. I mean, if you take the examples of the Alfa 4C, the Fiat 500, the Mini, the Beetle, they look nice in profile, but they always look a bit odd front and back because they're too sort of bulbous and bug-eyed. This, though, actually works from all angles. It's a very subtle evocation of the original, and I like it. It's funky, and it's yellow. And as I've said many times before, all the best things in life are yellow, like sunshine and bananas and a custard tart. And before you all dive into the comment section, that's not the same as saying everything yellow is good, because obviously jaundice is yellow, and so is the pus from a suppurating boil. Anyway, at this point, we'd normally do what we call the tracking shots, which is where a camera person sits in the back of something like a Land Rover Discovery 4 with the tailgate open, and I position myself left and right and do a catch-up, and they zoom in on the details so you can see what I'm talking about. But I can't do that, obviously. So I'll pause for half a minute whilst you look it up on the online brochure. That's about half a minute, I think. Now, if you parked this next to an original Renault 5, it would appear to be massive. But these days, this is a super mini. It's a regular-sized hatchback style car. It's electric, obviously. You can have a 40 kilowatt hour battery or a posh 52 kilowatt hour battery version, which is the one I'm in. The prices start at about £23,000 and rise, as in this example, to just under £30,000. That's the boring bit out of the way. Oh, the range, you're all saying, what's the range? Well, officially, I think it's something like 220, 225 miles. It's all lies, obviously. In reality, I've driven this around quite a bit now. I find it to be usable about 180, maybe 190 if you're careful. That suits me perfectly, to be honest. It's very cheerful in here. It's helped by the colour-coded inserts on the seats, some nice ambient lighting. My complaints are that the armrest on the door is a bit too hard and makes my elbow go to sleep. The other is that this pillar is a little bit broad, and in the position that I sit in when driving, it actually creates a bit of a blind spot, especially if you're approaching something like a slightly oblique junction. There's one of those near my house, and you can approach it and think, ooh, that's clear, and actually there's something hiding exactly behind there. This was also a problem for me on the BYD Dolphin. It has a reasonable boot, the driving position is nice, the space in the back is not enormous, to be honest, but then I never ride in the back of my own car, and I don't really care about the people who do. I suppose at this point I should pull up at the side of the road and go around all this, and the camera would come in through the open door, show you the rear legroom and so on, and I suppose I could do that if I stopped in a lay-by and used the little camera on a stick thing that tracks my face, but I mean, to be honest, I can't really be bothered. That's a bit like doing your own laundry. The fascia, the controls, they are actually quite appealing. There's the usual touch screen and so on, which I'm not mad on, but important things are real buttons like fan speed and demisting and air conditioning and the temperature. That's fabulous. If you want to set up things like the driver assist, you can do this by pressing the car icon and then going to driving assistance and setting up your perso settings. That's your personal settings, which in my case is everything off. The indicators make a nice noise. I'm going to indicate pointlessly. Very nice. Stop and go and so on is on this stalk here, this big lever, a bit like an old Rolls Royce. So you push it down for drive and up for reverse. And there's another push that you can make down, which gives you B, which is artificial engine braking, if you like, and then you press it again and you're back in normal drive. A little bit like a Toyota Prius's gear knob thing. The odd bit about it is that there's no park setting. When you stop, you put it in neutral, and then you can put the electric handbrake on, or it comes on automatically if you open the door. It sort of makes sense, I suppose. It just seems a bit odd. There are buttons all over the steering wheel, and there are too many of them because there are more than one. I like no buttons on the steering wheel because the steering wheel is for steering, and that's important in a car. This button here that's called multi-sense allows you to cycle between the various modes, which are things like personal, which I've got it in, comfort, eco, sport, yeah, I'm leaving it in perso, which gives me a purple hue on the dashboard. Now, at this point in a normal road test, we do what are called the up and bys, which is where the camera person stands in a lay-by, for example. I drive up the road and turn around and drive past grinning, and I turn around again and drive past the other way. Then they move down the road a bit or shoot in the opposite direction, so we get a bit of a variety and you can see the car in action and all the rest of it. I can't really do that by myself, but Harry's Garage has done a test of this car, so maybe you could look at some of the pictures from that. Here's 20 seconds for that. Okay, I hope you enjoyed that. I think Harry drove a blue one. The ride in the R5 is a little bit on the chunky side, I think. I think that about virtually all new cars I drive these days, to be honest. But once you're moving at a decent speed, above about 40 miles an hour, it settles down very nicely. The other thing I really love about this car is that the drivetrain is extremely refined. Now, all electric cars are refined. Obviously, they're smooth because there's no pistons flying about or any of that vibratory nonsense. It's just a spinning shaft. But some of them sometimes seem to feel a little bit gritty. This one feels like it's running in a bucket of melted butter. It's wonderful. I think normally now we would do some director creative stuff where the clouds go backwards and the car changes colour and skips about through freeze frames and stuff like that, but you're just going to have to imagine that, I'm afraid. So overall, I really like it. It's cheerful, it's unaggressive, it looks good without being too sentimental, it's plenty quick enough, the range is reasonable, it's comfortable, I like the fascia, I like the features. I'd have one, except for one small thing. I've already got a car.